Hello viewers, today we are going to discuss about some different centers which were developed during medieval period. That is, I mean to say how do a village turns itself into a town and becomes center for trade and craftspeople. Today, lesson number 6, towns, trade and craftspeople. The story for town trades and craftspeople, lesson number 6, history, starts after the fall of the Guptas, that is the Gupta Empire, in the 5th century CE, and India witnessed decline in agricultural production. But from the 11th century CE onwards, agricultural production increased, which encouraged the growth of different towns. You can see on your book that there were different towns. There may be temple towns, pilgrimage towns, or many more. So let's start with the first topic, that is urbanization during the Sultanate period. You could see that in this topic, urbanization during the Sultanate period, there were different villages which turns into urbanized centers, okay, like towns, cities and all. So wherever there were population increased, these names were changed. First villages, then towns, then cities, and then it turns into capitals and district headquarters and all even. The district headquarters by that time were known as Qasbas, Q-A-S-B-A-S, Qasbas, okay. That means I am talking about the Sultanate period. During the Sultanate period, district headquarters were known as Qasbas, which were center of various crafts and trading activities. Now, important centers for these district headquarters during the Sultanate period, they were Delhi, Lahore, Ahmedabad, Sonargaon and many more. Now let's talk about the another topic, that is urbanization during the Mughal period. Just now we talked about urbanization during the Sultanate period. Now we'll talk about the urbanization during the Mughal period. That is, during the Mughal rule, that is 16th to 18th century, within 200 years, furthermore encouragement can be seen, okay, in urbanization. The important centers for this were Agra, Delhi, Lahore, Multan and many others. So during the Mughal period, different towns grew, which were classified into 5 towns, that is administrative towns, trading towns, pilgrimage centers, port towns and manufacturing centers. But if you consider history from some other areas, then you could see only 3 types of towns in the medieval period. They are administrative towns, temple towns and the trading ports and trading towns, okay. But in the Mughal period, there were 5 types of towns. It is given in the book, that is administrative towns, trading towns, pilgrimage centers, port towns and manufacturing centers. Now you could see administrative centers. Number 1, administrative centers were those towns or cities where kings or rulers establish their capitals and carry out their administrative works, okay. That is, it means that they rule their country from there. The next comes, the example for it is Delhi, Daulatabad, Vijayanagara, etc. for administrative centers. The next comes trading towns. Trading towns, they were famous for their trade, okay. Example Delhi, Lahore, Limbodar, etc. Third number, port cities. A city built around a port for its defense to provide infrastructural support. It not only provides infrastructural support to the army but also export goods from India to other countries. Example Sonargaon, Masulipatam, Kollam, etc. Then comes religious centers, places which were important centers of pilgrimage like Benares, Madurai, Dwarka and Konark, etc. Here if you take example, Sivsagar is a good example for religious center. These towns were also popular for their temples and came to be known as temple towns. Trade and the traders, next point. regarding the manufacturing centers, the fifth one, which is not given in the book, but you must know that manufacturing centers were those centers where different goods or products were made, like West Bengal of that time. West Bengal, that means it is a small part only, most of the part is in Bangladesh, so all Bangladesh, all Bengal. Now comes to trade and traders. During the early days, India had a booming trade, which is already told in the book. These trade were divided into two: internal and external trade. Internal and external trade. Okay. Internal trade prevailed within the country, and shopkeepers, businessmen were doing business within the country itself. Okay, which is known as internal trade. Trade prevailed within the country is known as internal trade. Example: Delhi and Agra were known for paper and glasswares. Then come to external or foreign trade. Trade prevailed within the other countries. Trade prevailed with the other countries is known as external trade. I say trade prevailed with the other countries is known as external trade. So trade with the West was mainly through two routes. Two ways were there through which the Western countries were connected. That is the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea, and the other one is through the Red Sea, that is Egypt to the Mediterranean. Then trade with eastern side carried on through the Bay of Bengal. And India exports spices, textiles, precious stones, ivory, etc. Not only that, but others too. Okay, and many more agricultural products were there. In Khambat, Gujarat, we can see more than 3,000 ships visited the port annually for trade. The next comes the topic, that is crafts and craftspeople. Okay, so handmade goods were very popular. We could see. So Indian arts and crafts were patronized by the rulers of India and other countries. India was famous for its textiles. Not only that, India was famous for many other goods, but especially textile. Patola silk, which is very popular in Southeast Asia, and Dhaka muslin, a cotton fabric which was popular all world over, and calico muslin, colored and printed cloth material from Calcutta, is also very popular. Dhaka muslin, you know, Dhaka is in Bangladesh. Patola silk also was very popular in the Southeast Asia. So we could see here within this all lesson we understood that Hampi, Masulipatam and many other places were there. Before the coming of the British, they were flourishing trade centers. But we could see also that after the coming of the British, these all trade centers were diminished, were finished. Okay, and instead of that, new centers came up. Instead of these, new centers came up, and these new centers were Bombay, Calcutta, and Chennai. So this is after the coming of the British. Thank you for watching. Thank you.